All right, giving you my first two for June pond fishing. Pond fishing is one of my favorite things to do. It's what I did growing up. That's where my whole passion came from. Had a pond in the backyard as I was a little small tyke, and then we actually built a bigger pond for the fishing. So I've done a lot of pond fishing over the years. Did some more last weekend, and sure enough, everything that I remembered was definitely true. So I'm gonna give you my first two. Number one, far and away, is definitely gonna be a wacky worm like this right here. Some missile baits, magic worm, green pumpkin money, anything in that green, as long as the water's relatively clear, anything in that green category, you know, watermelon violet, green pumpkin money, any color like that is gonna be where I wanna start, because you want a bait that's gonna sit up in the water column really high and not move a whole lot. You wanna throw it out there around any kind of cover, point, lily pad, clump, anything like that. You're gonna throw that wacky worm around there and then just give it little short twitches, and you want that bait to stay way up high in the water column. So if you use a wacky worm like a Senko style, that bait's gonna sink pretty fast, and next thing you know, that bait's gonna be on the bottom. It's gonna be in that moss, it's gonna be in all that kind of stuff. So for smaller bodies of water, you want something that's gonna sit up higher in the water column. That's why that magic worm is primo. Definitely gonna be fishing that on a spinning rod setup. You just gotta cash in. This is a Ned rig rod. Any kind of a medium type action. Don't want a real stiff action. Like a medium type action is probably the best way to go. I like, with my wacky worms, I like straight braid, but you can do braid to a leader, or you can just do straight fluorocarbon or straight mono. It really is not that big of a difference. I like the braid because of the control, and I don't have to worry about fish breaking me off or anything like that. But I usually do 16-pound Sunline X plasma there, somewhere in that range. 15, 16 pound is fine. You can go 12. 12 is fine as well. And then I'm gonna have the Gamakatsu G Finesse split shot drop shot hook. That is a cash money wacky worm kind of deal. If you're not like in cover, if you're throwing it around lay downs and things like that, you probably want to go to the stinger hook that has the little weed guards on it. That's what I was using last weekend. It's hard to see, those little weed guards are so thin, but that's definitely the number one setup. I've caught just piles and piles of fish on that wacky worm early summertime, and it works all day, from early morning all the way through the middle of the day. You can catch fish. Afternoon, late afternoon, definitely going to catch fish as well. So far and away my number one right there, the old magic worm. Any kind of wacky worm, straight worm that sits up higher in the water column. Any kind of bluegill type colors, because that's really what the bass are going to be feeding on in most every pond that time of year. So that's number one. Number two is going to be a topwater. That's right, got to throw the topwater in there. You can catch fish all day on it, but early in the morning, late in the evening, definitely the two best times to catch fish on it. But any kind of popper like this right here, Spro E-Pop, like the little rattle's nice, but if you've got some kind of grass in your pond, the rattle is key. I really like that rattle. I think it just draws fish from a further distance. But that E-Pop right there, any kind of popper, old school Rebel Pop R, anything like that is going to be where you want to go. I like throwing those on bait casting. You can throw them on spinning rods, 100% you can do that. But I like a nice, good bait casting rod and reel setup. This is a Cash-In Icon. It's their topwater jerk bait rod. This is actually the worm jig rod, because I was using it for a couple different things. Medium action right here. Medium heavy is usually what I use ideally for in that topwater jerk bait rod. But I had a couple different things on here. See, this is what I had on there. I had on the little baby whopper plopper, and you would think that little small whopper plopper would get crushed, and you can absolutely catch fish on that in ponds, but I'm telling you right now, you put a popper on there, something that you can make noise, splash, and then let it sit there. Splash, splash, sit there. Splash, splash, sit there. Give it that 3, 4, 5, 10 seconds if you can. Wait, because man, those fish, they'll be looking at it and all of a sudden they'll just boom, they'll just explode on it. Now sometimes you'll throw over there and I mean you don't even get to twitch it and they'll just crush it. But a lot of times you'll throw over there, twitch 1 or 2 times, twitch 1 or 2 more times, and then you're just kind of sitting there getting ready to twitch it again, and then all of a sudden, kaboom, they crush it. So that's the popper right there. You can throw that on any number of setups, kind of like the spinning setup. You can throw that on straight mono if you want to. I like straight braid for the poppers. I know sometimes people like to have a mono leader on there. If you want to do that, that's fine. If you're into tying leaders or you want to be technical, what have you, by all means, go ahead and tie that on there. But I just go straight 30-pound Sunline X Plasma braid on those poppers. Again, when they hit it, you make a really long cast. Ponds, you can catch fish close, but just like most places, if you can make the further cast you can make, the more fish you're going to catch. Those fish just are not wary about people being around. In ponds, most of it's done on the bank. You can get in boats, but either way, those ponds are relatively small. We're talking, 10 acres or less. Most ponds are, 1 to 5 acres. Those fish know when something is not right. They know when somebody's walking around the bank. They know something's going on. If you're in a boat dinking around, I don't care what kind of ninja style quietness you're trying to exhibit, they know something unnatural is in their environment, and they're a little bit weary. So if you can make a longer cast with the wacky or the topwater, you're 100% going to catch more fish. I wouldn't say 100% more fish, but you're definitely going to catch more fish than if you make shorter casts. And so that's one of the reasons I really like the braid. That 30-pound X Plasma, with a good, as a Daiwa Zillion, you might not have a Daiwa Zillion, but if you have a good bait caster, you can make super long casts with that. And then you can also turn around and, fish other things on there as well. You can fish other, you can fish buzz baits, you can fish the little whopper plopper, you can fish little swim baits, you can fish, a bunch of other kind of baits with that 30-pound braid. So it's not just locked into, throwing a popper or anything like that. But those are my 1-2 punch. Now there's a handful of other additional baits you can throw in these ponds. Chatterbait is another good one in the summertime. Sometimes they just absolutely wreck that chatterbait. There's a bunch of other things. If you have any other suggestions for baits in that first 2 for ponds, drop it down there in the comments. I'll be curious to see what everybody has to say. I love fishing ponds. It kind of takes me back to my roots. Some people are like, oh, I fish rivers, I fish this, fish that. Ponds are really where it all started for me. So I really love fishing ponds. It's kind of nostalgic, just grabbing a little backpack like this right here, and throwing just a handful of tackle in there, having 2-3 rods, going out there and then just seeing what all you can catch in those ponds. Man, sometimes you can catch some monsters. I've caught some giants. Like a lot of 5+ pounders in ponds over the years with in that early summertime time period. But just a lot of fun, and by all means, you can take some young people out there, get them hooked on fishing as well. That's what happened to me. So anybody has any suggestions, drop them down in their comments. I appreciate everybody watching.